welcome in everybody to the show this week. I am Pete Melfi. I am the host of a little show we call The Rant right here on 102.1 FM, WFOY, 1240 AM, which is also WFOY. They are, of course, the voice of St. Johns County. I am your voice here today. My name is Pete Melfi. I run a little thing called the 904 Now, where I want to, I just want to give you guys the news in a way that's not bought and paid for. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a little while. Let me just get my official welcome out of the way, do a little business, set this whole show up, and then we'll get into exactly what I want to talk about today. It's something I tell you guys all the time, and I figured today I would bring in examples to show you guys. But I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Of course, welcome into my 904 family. I already covered that this is The Rant on the 904 Now Network, which is 102.1 FM. You can find us on Roku TV. You can find us on Fire Stick. Just get the app, though. The app is everything you need. You have a lot of power in your hands with the app right on your home screen. You got local news, articles, all the videos, all the shows, and we've got new features in there for you guys. Very important features that are going to help locals out a whole lot. First of all, live traffic reports. This has helped me out every single day that I've had this available on the app. Every single day. Traffic was nuts on US 1 the other day. I quickly, with one tap, I opened my 904 Now app, I checked the traffic, and I looked to see which roads I could take that were going to be a little clearer because US 1 was backed up for miles and miles, and I could see that live on the 904 Now app, and I was able to find a different route. So that's been very, very helpful to folks. Very excited about that new addition. We'll also be doing contests and giveaways exclusively inside the app and doing a lot of other exclusive stuff. There's going to be a lot of exclusive stuff on the app. It's very, very beautiful. It's probably the best designed app ever in the history of apps. I know this because I design apps, and I'm probably the best app designer you've ever met. I'm getting better at the Trump impression. I really am. It's getting better and better by the day I'm working at it. It's still not there yet. I'm not going to say I have the Trump impression down. But, man, it is definitely coming along. Got to give a huge shout-out to the people who make my program possible and everything that I do possible. I'd have to go get a real job, and I wouldn't have to be able to focus on important local news and information for you guys if these fine folks did not support me. I'll tell you a little bit about all these folks a little bit later in the show, a lot more about them later in the show. But just to give them their initial shout out, St. Augustine Experiences, and they're not just a chocolate tour and their Ale Trail beer tours. Primpin' Ain't Easy, Old City Homes, Jerry Falcomer at Century 21, Better Bodies Health and Fitness, Florida Water Tours, Old City Subs, Sporks, and a whole lot more. Check those out in the app, and you can get coupons for all those guys in the app as well. Big shout out to the folks who do help me do the cash giveaways. They help provide the cash that you guys get when I give away cash. They are the family law offices of Brandon D. Beardsley, one of the most experienced and respected family law attorneys in town, the St. Augustine Distillery and City Gate Spirits. Awesome places. All places that can better your life. Brandon can better your family situation if you're going through some family troubles. And the distillery and City Gate Spirits can better your life if you just want to have a little more fun tonight. So stop by them. Stop by all those folks. Tell them I said hi when you decide to shop local. Hey, I want to do the Florida Man Award because it's what I like to do at the beginning of every show because it is one of the most fun parts of the entire show. You guys love it. I love it. So I make sure we do it at the beginning of the show so that I don't forget about it later in the show. This is just a new thing because I was always forgetting about this. But a Florida worker allegedly... Oh, no, that's the headline from last week. This security guard in Florida was arrested after he accidentally shot a coworker in the eye. Florida security guard accidentally shoots coworker in the eye. That's our headline. School security guard was arrested Thursday after he accidentally shot his coworker in the eye at a school in Weston. The Broward County Sheriff's Office did say that Friday in a news release. The incident occurred in the parking lot of the private Sagamont School at 570 Sagamont Way in Weston, where Julian Antonio Suarez, who's 55 of Fort Lauderdale Lakes, was not authorized to carry a gun as part of his security detail, officers said. Suarez, who is employed by Kent Security, was scheduled to work a shift that day at another school where he is authorized to carry a gun. So I guess he just didn't realize he wasn't authorized at this place. Not sure he's the guy I want carrying a gun anyway. The public defender said that he believed the incident was a stupid mistake. According to the arrest report, Suarez was showing his gun to a maintenance worker when the gun discharged. The victim was shot in the eye. Come on, guys. Basic gun safety. What are you doing just flaunting your weapon around like a stupid idiot? The victim was shot in the eye. Suarez dropped him off at the Cleveland clinic before going home and probably worrying his ass off and sweating a lot for a little while. Authorities at the clinic said the Broward County Sheriff's Office received word of the incident, and Suarez was taken into custody later that day. Suarez appeared in court Friday and was ordered to pay and was held in lieu of a $7,500 bond. This is going to be one of those days where I may struggle to talk. We're going to see how this goes. But he gets our Florida award. Mr. Suarez gets our Florida award for today. Congratulations. Although I've never, ever given an award away for the Florida Man Award to somebody who was excited about getting it. Why would you be excited about getting this award? One of the worst awards you can receive. And I know something about awards. It's just, I get them all the time. All right, I'm going to stop. That's my last Trump impression of the day. Let me give you a rundown of what we got on the show here today. A country superstar is going to be headlining this year's Sing Out Loud Festival, that presented by the AMP. Mayor Tracy Upchurch said he has decided to run again. Sheriff Shore terminated and pressed charges on one of the deputies involved in a recent traffic stop turned beating. And I'll be talking with St. Augustine High School football coaches, JV coach Austin Lee and varsity coach Brian Braddock on the show a little bit later to talk about what is going on in the St. Augustine High School football program. Lots of exciting stuff that they've got coming up. And I'm excited to hear kind of what the process was of taking the reins after, legendary coach Joey Wiles decided to hang up the cleats or whatever shoes he wears on the sidelines. And so I'm very interested to talk to them and figure out what's going on there. All right, everybody, look. I want to illustrate a little bit of proof of what I've been saying for years and years and years on the show, and for years on my platform, and for years as I was working in the middle of this business. And I want to again show you the main reason that the 904 now takes zero political money, absolutely none. So here's my thing, and election season is ramping up, and the sheriff's race is going to be a big race for sheriff, okay? So recently, I have noticed I've seen a whole lot about Chris Strickland, who's one of the candidates for St. Johns County Sheriff. Now, I've met Chris. Seems like he's nothing but a nice guy to me. He's never been anything but a very nice human being to me. I'm not here picking sides. I'm not picking on Chris. I'm not bashing Chris. I am here to talk right now about the media and how political money influences their coverage. And I have brought with me today some proof that I feel is very, very overwhelming. And I called this from the beginning when I started seeing some of the coverage. When I started seeing some of the coverage coming out, and I'll get into that. So in the past few weeks, there's been attacks and conspiracy theories floating around concerning Beach Belief Chief Robert Hardwick. So everything from he's a David Shore establishment guy, which is funny in itself, because in my opinion, Hardwick's the only guy who can actually come in and change that culture for the better. I believe. Got some great friends at the sheriff's office, and not nothing bad on them. But I believe Hardwick is the guy to turn that around. But again, that's not what I'm here to talk about. Neither of the two guys specifically are what I'm here to talk about. So you've heard some of the conspiracy theories. There's also a wild conspiracy out there that Hardwick was somehow able to rig a recent university poll showing that Hardwick had a narrow edge over Strickland. Yeah, because seriously, I've read recent blogs insinuating that police chief Robert Hardwick rigged a poll to be insanely close. It's just ridiculous. Why would you rig a poll to be insanely close? Why would you rig a poll to show that you're 1 point ahead of your opponent in certain areas of the polls. It doesn't make any sense. If he was going to rig the poll, wouldn't he want it to look like a little more of a lead? Anyway. So those are two of the conspiracy theories that I hear flying around. So 3 main outlets peddling these nonsense, garbage conspiracy theories about a guy who's been literally nothing but praised for his work on the beach. These 3 main outlets would be the St. Augustine Record, WSOS, and Michael Gold's blog. So I was thinking the other night, after I see the Record come out with a story, and then I see Michael Gold's blog post that references WSOS's coverage of the polls and how the polls were rigged. And I just started thinking the other night, there's only 3 outlets reporting on these crazy nonsense theories. Wouldn't it make perfect sense if Strickland had given money to all of them? It would only make perfect sense and would fit the complete narrative of what I've been telling you guys for years and years and years, that money influences news. And I said that in air quotes for those of you who are not watching. So I started looking into both candidates, their financial records. All of this is public record, by the way. You can find it all out there. And the money that they've spent on their campaigns. So I'm going to give you one guess. I'll just give you guys one guess out there. What do you think? Do you think that Chris Strickland has given money to all of these news outlets? That's a simple question. Do you think? I'll tell you what, cliffhanger here. I'm going to give you the answer. Of course he's given money to all of them, thousands to all of them. And to take it even further, though, okay, I could believe these were all completely unbiased stories if Chief Hardwick's campaign had also given money to these fake news outlets. I love saying fake. These fake news. We all know it's fake news. It's obvious every day they're fake news. So take a guess. Do you think Chief Hardwick gave any money to the Record, to WSOS, or what was the other one? Michael Gold's blog. Do you think he gave any money to those? Because if he did, and they reported and tried to make him look like the bad guy and tried to make Chris Strickland look like a saint, then, okay, I could see those as unbiased. Both campaigns have given him money, and they're putting out a story that they believe is unbiased, even though Chief Hardwick had given them money. So take a guess. Do you think that Chief Hardwick spent $1 with either of these places? You think he did? According to the financial records, he did not. Not $1 through current reports. None. So you have 3 media organizations bashing one guy, an accomplished police chief, who's one hell of a guy and who's brought credibility and respect to his agency. There's 3 organizations that are bashing him, and all painting Chris Strickland as a saint in the process. Contrasting and saying, well, Chris Strickland's not like this. This isn't what Chris Strickland does. So all 3 have received money from Chris Strickland. All 3 have received no money from Robert Hardwick. Now, this is the biggest pile of garbage you'll ever be able to find. It's right there. It's stinking. It is loud. You can smell it from a mile away, and you can find the money trail to it. This is as disgusting as MSNBC and Fox News peddling their highly slanted opinions and packaging them as news. I mean, don't ever, ever, ever try to tell me that this doesn't happen here locally. You're seeing it unfold right in front of your eyes. You're watching people who present themselves as journalists, people who present themselves as reporters, people who represent themselves as newsmen and women, people who claim to deal in the business of truth. You're watching them whore themselves out for $1. And guess who gets screwed when the local media starts whoring itself out? We get screwed. It's the only transaction where somebody can pay somebody else to whore themselves out, and we end up getting screwed. Normal people who have nothing to do with this transaction whatsoever. You and me, we get screwed. Stories like this do 2 things. This is the news coverage. This kind of news coverage does 2 things. They prop up the people who are paying them money, and they also serve as a threat. Fake news outlets like this love to pit candidates against each other. They can say, without saying words, all 3 of these outlets have said, hey, Chief Hardwick, we're going to keep putting out this trash, this nonsense, until you jump on board and you pay us money too. Then we'll give you some good stories. That's what they say without having to say it. It is a threat. Articles like this, conspiracy theories like this, nonsensical drivel like this is a threat. It's garbage, and it's playing into your emotions. It's a tactic of planting misleading seeds, all in an attempt to get the guy who's paying them money elected. These stories aren't news. These stories aren't controversial. These stories aren't real. They're hit pieces on people who will unfortunately fall for them. Chris Strickland told me recently, and again, I have no bad things to say about Chris Strickland. I don't know the guy very well. I'm planning on having him on my show. I'm very excited to have him on the show and talk to him and see where he stands, because I just don't know. But he says he's not into mudslinging. Him and the Chief Hardwick are friends, and they're not gonna. He doesn't want to do the mudslinging in this campaign. I believe him, and he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to, because he's spending money with the people who think they have the most influence over you. By the way, these same outlets, just so you know, well, I know at least the Record, really has torn Chris Strickland apart in the past. Really just painting him as an erratic, maniac hothead who had a knee-jerk reaction to David Shore firing him. This is how the Record painted him just a couple of years ago. If I were Strickland, I wouldn't be giving any money to the Record under any circumstances. He's had to fight because of them. Chris Strickland has had to fight for years an image that he's a hothead, that he's just has knee-jerk reactions, and he could freak out at any time because of the Record's coverage of him. So look, it's quite obviously a paper that reports political news based on money, not news. I mean, it's so crystal clear, and I just want more people to see this. I know people are catching on to this, but this was really a main goal of mine in starting the 904 now, to pull back the curtain on politics. Look, I've worked in mainstream news at the highest levels. I've worked with political campaigns at the very highest levels. I know what I'm talking about. And it does happen here. It happens here all the time. This is why I started the 904 now, and why I'll continue to push the message home that I take $0 from political candidates. Because you can know for sure that if I say Police Chief Robert Hardwick is getting screwed by fake local media, you can know 100% I have zero financial stake in saying so. I have zero financial gain when I tell you this is a man who works his ass off day and night to make a better place for the residents of his city. Nobody pays me to say that. Nobody pays me to say that Chief Hardwick has built a culture of policing on the beach that agencies across the country should admire and model their forces after. I get zero money. I get zero benefits. I get zero job offers. I get zero anything to tell you that Chief Hardwick is one of the most trustworthy and integrity-driven people that you'll ever meet. I get zero for that. Nobody's paying me for that. Can't say the same for every other media outlet that's bragging to you about their candidates that are paying them. So when I tell you that I think Chief Hardwick is the only choice for St. Johns County, you can trust that that's coming from a place of information, not money or politics. But again, the choice is yours, because I'm also not here to sway your vote. I'm just here to give you the information. The choice is yours to keep listening to bought and paid for news articles, masquerading as news, or to go do some research for yourself. This is going to be a really important election for sheriff. I personally want to know that we're hiring the right guy, a guy who's level-headed, makes informed decisions, and has our best interest at heart and not his own. I'm not saying the other two aren't that. I'm just telling you I know for a 100% informed fact, an unbiased fact, an unpaid-for fact, an uninfluenced fact. I encourage you to check Chief Hardwick's financial records. He's never given me $1. Chief Hardwick is that guy that can get all of that done and more. But again, that's just my uninfluenced, unpaid for, unbought opinion of somebody that I have seen do his job and do it very, very well. All right, we got some stuff coming up here this week, guys. I want to get to this before I got to go to my first break. This was announced recently, Sing Out Loud adding country superstar Brad Paisley to the mix. He is going to be performing. Guess what the date is that he's going to be performing? This is actually pretty awesome. September 4th. Do you know what September 4th is? That would be, of course, if you write it out in numbers, 904. He'll be playing at 7 p.m. at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. So that's going to be exciting. A lot of people really looking forward to that. Just a huge act to get in St. Augustine. Mayor Upchurch says he's going to run again for St. Augustine mayor. He came into WFOY to make his official announcement this week on the Mike and Troy show. Last week, I guess that was. Pretty much, he said after a lot of deliberation, I'm going to run for mayor again. He says we've got a wonderful city. It's fun, it's exciting, and it's rewarding, talking about the job of being mayor. So he is running for mayor again. He did say he wouldn't do that, although people don't seem really upset that he's going to do that. I think he's done a fine job since he's taken over out there. Sorry, trying to do a few things at once. I think he's done a fine job since he's taken over. It's just less of a circus over there with him sitting in that middle seat. Vehicular homicide suspect from 2002 possibly was spotted back in town. You can find the pictures of him on the 904 Now on the website or in the app. And very happy to be asked to come out and participate in this Jimmy Jam, donating $3,500 to help teachers and students in need via Inc. Investing in Kids. I was on hand as they presented a check to Donna Looters and Davey Hartzell, two of my favorite people. All four of those folks are some of my favorite people. All right, we'll be back talking St. Augustine High School football. Stay close. All right, everybody, it is radio break time, and I want to take this time to tell you it is now easier than ever to save money just by being a local. You just have to download the 904 Now app in the Google Play or Apple App Store. Click on the 904 Fan button, and all your local discounts are right there. Just a reminder, here's some of the great places that are giving you discounts just for being a local. Let's start off with somebody who's just getting tons and tons of raves in the Rant and Rave group that I do. Actually, her whole staff is getting tons and tons of raves. That's because everyone loves working with Primpin' Ain't Easy, and they're giving you exclusive discounts, 20% off for new clients, 10% off for current clients. Make sure you take advantage of that. Remember, all these expire at the end of the month, so get on it. Superior Service. My friends Britton and Christina down there do amazing things not only in the community, but for you as well. They're hooking you up with $50 off any repair. They are one of the most trusted heating and AC companies in town, so don't be an idiot. Take advantage of that. Now, this is pretty insane. Old City Homes giving you $3,000 cash back at closing. Also, if you list your house with Jerry Falcomer through his Century 21 office, he will give you a free pressure washing of your home. And I'll tell you what, Jerry Falcomer and his team down there at Old City Homes doing a lot for affordable housing in St. Johns County. If you're looking around in St. Augustine or St. Johns County and you don't think you can afford anything, make sure you check with Jerry Falcomer, Old City Homes, see what he's got. They're building a lot of affordable houses in St. Johns County now. It's great. Better Bodies Health and Fitness, my favorite gym, is offering 0 enrollment fees for monthly memberships. This is the place with the only cryotherapy in St. Augustine. If you haven't tried that, you have to get out and do it. It's great for pain. It's great for inflammation. And it's great for lazy guys like me who just have, the occasional back pains and things like that. Also, I am a huge fan of Carmen Richardson. You will be too if you work with her. She's with Coast to Coast Lending. She can help you with all your mortgage lending needs. Carmen, just an absolute expert in the field. If you have any questions, even if you just have questions, you can give her a call. You can reach out to her on the Facebook page. She is always upping her game and making sure she can get you the best available rates. Again, that's Carmen Richardson, Coast to Coast Lending. Give her a call, 904-469-1579. That's 904-469-1579. Also, Florida Water Tours, giving you 25% off any cruise, the most trusted water tour in St. Augustine. They do wine cruises, they do dolphin tours. They even have Nights of Lights cruises still going on for a couple of more weeks. Again, 25% off all of that down there at Florida Water Tours. Florida Water Tours, just the best in St. Augustine. Old City Subs. Look, if you want to get a great sub and you want to shop local, there's no better place than Old City Subs. 20% off of your order through the 904 FAM discount program. We also got Steamline Carpet, Cleaning, and Handyman Services. They're giving you 15% off any service over $100. And you guys know one of my favorite spots, Sporks, giving you 10% off your entrees as well. Also, got to give a huge shout out to my cash giveaway sponsors. Of course, the St. Augustine Distillery. I get the Florida Straight Bourbon out there. The port finish is really good. Their gin is really good as well. Also, the family law offices of Brandon D. Beardsley, one of the most knowledgeable, experienced, and trusted family law attorneys in town. You can't go wrong with him. Just look up reviews on the guy. He's been around for years. Absolutely amazing attorney. Very honored to have him here as a sponsor. And City Gate Spirits, the place I get my moonshine from. A lot of great rums there, a whole lot to really choose from down there. The other distillery in town, and they are just really, really great in the heart of downtown St. Augustine, City Gate Spirits. And hey, to take advantage of all of these, it is super easy, easier than ever. It's now right there in the 904 Now app. Just download the 904 Now app in the Google Play or Apple App Store, and all of your 904 fam discounts are right there in the app. Just hit the 904 fam button. It's that easy. Have fun saving money for being a local. All right, welcome back into the Rant. You're listening right here on 102.1 FM, WFOY, 1240 AM, which is also WFOY. They are the voice of St. Johns County. My name is Pete Melfi. You may catch me all week long on the 904 Now. Check in on the app, the website, the Facebooks, all that stuff. Everywhere is jumping, man. People really loving all that stuff. So very excited to keep bringing you guys a product that you are excited about and something that's useful for folks every single day. I've got two very, very special guests in the studio with me here. St. Augustine High School football, just a huge deal here in St. Johns County. A huge deal. I've got two gentlemen with me that will have a lot to do with the success of the football program in the coming years. I've got Coach Austin Lee and Coach Brian Braddock. Coaches, gentlemen, how are you guys doing today? Very good to see you, and thank you for spending some time with me. Good, good, great. Man. Doing well. They both said they're doing well. I didn't turn the microphones on in time, so that's my fault, guys. Now tell me what's new with the football program and what you're excited about for the coming year. I know we touched a little bit on this before the show started, but what do you guys have in the works, and what's going on for the coming football season?
Yeah, excited, continuing to bring in former players on staff and trying to foster our middle school feeders. Last year we brought in two coaches from Murray Middle School, one being alum Brandon James, and he's obviously a legend at St. Augustine High School. I didn't realize you got Brandon. That's a big deal. Yeah, he coached our running backs last year, and
that's a huge tool.
Wow. He'll be overseeing our offense this year along with Clyde Taylor. So really excited about that.
That's exciting. That's got to be a guy that your players get excited about too.
Yeah, well,
because a lot of your players, they're probably maybe a little bit young when he played in the league, but they can see a guy who just was a standout for the Gators, who made a small mark on the NFL, and that's the guy who's teaching them how to play now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you're looking at a guy who, although small in stature, achieved at a high rate at the highest level.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty awesome.
And it was electric to watch in high school, college, all of it, man. It was fun to watch Brandon get the ball.
Yeah, he's a dynamic guy and a huge asset to the program. Did an awesome job last year and only going to continue to grow as a coach. And then this year, brought on two former Yellow Jackets that came from Sebastian Middle School, Austin Lee and Chris Morrill. And Austin's going to be leading our JV team this year. Excited for him and for those guys on that staff. And all told, I think we might even be in the double digits now with Jacket alumni that are on the coaching staff between the two levels. So it tells you a lot about the place, tells you a lot about how special the program is to the people.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
But now, Austin, you're one of the guys he was just talking about.
Yep.
You're a guy who had a very nice career at St. Augustine High School yourself. And tell me, how does it feel now to go from the field to the sidelines and telling these kids, hey, this is what we need to be doing, this is where we need to be, and this is why?
Well, Currently, I don't even know what it feels like, but to put it into
That's
words.
right. That was a stupid question on my part because he said you're pretty new at this for the high school.
Well, yeah, no, I haven't coached football for St. Augustine yet. I did help with weightlifting last year, and I'm helping with weightlifting now. But yeah, I've been at Sebastian as the head coach the last couple of years.
Yep.
And one of my buddies, Seth McCullough, he coached with me. And I was saying, hey, I think I might be coming on as JV head coach. I was trying to get him to come. Work schedule didn't work out, but him and I were talking about it. And he was just like, man, that gives me chills. Like, that is unreal. And I was like, honestly, it's going to be one of those things that we're doing it, we're practicing, but then once we come out, and he's not helping, but once I come out on whatever Thursday night or the spring game, which will be a Wednesday night, whatever it is, I'm going to be like, wow, I'm actually here wearing jackets, polo, or whatever it is that we're wearing.
Yeah.
Back, and it's fun. You know, I grew up, my grandparents went to St. Augustine High, my parents met at St. Augustine High, I went to St. Augustine High, so, you know, it means a lot. And then I was actually coached by Coach Braddock for 2 years, and then, yeah, St. Augustine football means a lot. I remember when Coach Wallace was there, my dad, he was actually like, I don't care if we move to California, we'll buy a plane, we'll do whatever we have to do to get you to go play for St. Augustine. And, you know, so to come back and help out, I'm excited to see what it actually feels like.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you. And that's good to know, Coach, that you're bringing in guys who know the school, guys who know the system, guys who understand the community, just people from around here, homegrown guys. Now, he touched on Joey Wiles a little bit, and Joey Wiles was obviously a legend, just had a huge impact on St. Augustine High School football. What are some of the challenges of trying to take over that program after a guy like that?
Sure. Yeah, I've answered these questions, you know, pretty much since day one a bunch of times. No,
yes.
and honestly,
it's got to be one of the most common questions you get, though.
Of course, you know,
because people want to know from your perspective.
Sure. What I would say is, and I've said this before, is if I had been coaching college football, where you're getting paid to win games, and make no mistake, we want to win games and we want to win big.
Oh yeah.
Would have never done it, not in a million years, because you know the way things were going at Mandarin at the time. Obviously, we were on a huge upswing, and we're doing things that had never been done in that program. And there's a lot of fun in that. And then to come back to St. Augustine, where at one point or another everything's been done, whether it's a perfect season, being number one in the state in all classifications, all those things.
Yeah.
You know, guys on TV. After high school, you know,
there's almost no goals to surpass at that point.
Well, my goal is to build young men. So and if you're coaching high school sports and that's not your goal, you're in the wrong profession, because you're certainly not going to get rich, and it's different, you know. So that obviously was factored into the equation. Got plenty of advice to not do it. But at the end of the day, you know, I felt like I had an opportunity to come make an impact in the community that raised me, and at a place that was special to me. And you know, maybe there was some stubbornness in there too. You know, people telling you not to do something, and you know,
that's the worst thing you can do to get me to not do something, is tell me not to do it.
So,
exactly.
You know, and figured we'd just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off first. We lost our first game in 2016 to Baker County, and of course, immediately, you know, and rightfully so, everybody said, well, look at what's different. That was coach's fault.
Yeah, you must have got a pile on at that point. Whoa,
yeah, that was a fun weekend in the Braddock household. But, you know, as it turned out, you know, Baker County was pretty good. And we were pretty good. And I think we lost in the Final 8 that year. And then the next year, going to the Final 4. So that kind of stemmed the tide. And then, you know, obviously the last 2 years, you know, we've not won as many games as we're accustomed to. And, you know, if we're going to say, for me as a head coach and the leader of this program, if I'm going to say that we're going to serve the players' hearts, we just had a staff meeting today, and our aligned, you know, understanding is that we're going to serve the players' hearts first, and then we're going to serve their talents. And when you are faced with tough times and you go 5-5 like we did 2 years ago, and this past year go 6-4, do you really mean it? Are you really here to serve the players' hearts before you serve their talents, or is it all about winning? And make no mistake, I want to go 10-0. I mean, I want to go 15-0. I mean, we want to win every game. We're competitive. You wouldn't coach if you weren't. But it's been good for me as a young coach. So, you know, we're trying to win in a way that, you know, we like to say, win in a way that we've never won. And we've taken on a lot of things and put our own spin on a lot of things, and whether it's involvement in the community and just some of the things, the way that we do things. Kids in 2020 are different than they were in 2012, my last year, when I was an assistant.
Completely different.
Right,
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're different now than they were in 2015.
How do you adjust to that? I mean, because coaching strategy has to kind of adapt to how you have to kind of interact with younger kids these days.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's a different world. I mean, you know, coaching is now It's now more about trying to build trust than it ever has been.
Really?
There is no more you trust me because of my position.
Right. Right.
You're going to have to build trust via influence.
You almost have to earn trust just like they have to earn your trust, correct?
1,000%.
But then when you do earn that trust, it's easier for guys to buy into your system, right? Because they know he's doing what's best for us as people.
Sure. Absolutely. And they have a choice. Everybody has a choice. So, for us, I mean, we're going to demonstrate our character. We're going to demonstrate the fact that we care. We're going to demonstrate the fact that we're competent in the job we're doing, that we know from experience, or we know because we're putting your heart first ahead of your talent, that we know what's best for you to help you become a young man of character, to help you pursue excellence, whether it's in physicality as a football player, or if it's connection to our community and your teammates, if it's and just learning how to give your best effort in everything it is that you do, and all these different facets. I mean, that's what's going to be most important. Winning will come. And I mean, I'm not going to apologize. I mean, we've been to the playoffs the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. We are playing a very demanding schedule, and we're going to continue to do so. And that's a lot of fun. But so things are very different. And, I'm going to be me, and we're going to run the program to the best of our ability. And we're going to do everything we can to give these kids opportunities to be great young men.
Well, and I think that's very important, and that's something you keep coming back to, is you're building people, you're building young men, you're building character. Another thing you guys keep mentioning is community. I've talked to Coach Lee a little bit over the last couple of weeks, and he said you guys are really stepping up community efforts to try and get out in public a little more than maybe St. Augustine High School had before. What are you guys doing to kind of step up efforts around the community?
Well, and I'll say this. I'll say a lot of, I learned about coaching, via the, teaching young people character via the vehicle of football from Joey Wiles. Mm-hmm. Playing football at St. Augustine High School changed my life. So I'm just taking what I learned, and I'm trying to take this into the new age, so to speak, the new kid, to the best of my ability. So yeah, we've tried to make a great effort to be involved at our feeder schools, especially our feeder elementary schools, at Webster, at Catalina's, at the others. Whether it be, and then there's there's a litany of community service opportunities. There's always something that can be done in our community. Mm-hmm. We actually had some young men this past weekend that volunteered with Special Olympics down at, it was actually being hosted at Pedro Menendez High School.
Okay, nice.
And, for the first time, I actually had, a lot of times for these over the last 4 years, I'm having to strong arm kids to kind of get them to go. They're doing it because they know it's what I want them to do.
Right. But as a kid, you don't necessarily want to volunteer.
Sure.
You want to, if I got free time, I want to hang with my buddies, man,
Of course. But this was one of the first times I've had kids come back to me and be like, thanks for telling us about this opportunity. They had such an awesome time.
That's great.
Yeah, and we've got a really cool group of kids, and we've got some great connections in our community with some amazing organizations. One being, like this summer, I can't wait to do Surf Quest, which is adaptive surfing for people with special needs, and our kids love it. Like, our kids love it. It's one of their favorite days of the year.
And the people who participate in it, the folks from the ARC art, they're amazing. They have so much fun, man.
Yes.
It's one of the coolest events to go out and just hang out with and be a part of.
And we're trying to teach our young men that when you give of yourself, you're going to be the recipient in many ways.
Yeah.
And you're never gonna realize your full potential as a football player until you're able to put your teammates and serve them ahead of you. You're never going to realize your full potential as a human being until you can do that with other people. So we're just trying to leverage football as a vehicle to teach these young men those life skills.
I love that. That's great. Now, who are some of the guys you guys are looking forward to, Coach? I know you said you've got a couple of returning players. Coach Lee, I know you're getting excited to meet some of these players and get to know kind of their skill sets. Do you know any of these guys yet? Have you watched any of these guys yet? Who are you kind of excited to get to work with out there?
Yeah, for me, obviously, I'll be JV. I mean, in the spring, I'll help out on defensive line, linebackers, whatever he wants me to do.
Sure.
But so I'm getting to meet him. But obviously, I coached pretty much probably half of the team I'm going to have because I was at Sebastian.
Yeah.
So there's a few guys, and also while I was at Sebastian, Murray kind of beat the heck out of us every time I was there. They're quite talented. So I'm extremely happy to have the guys that have been, embarrassing me, quite honestly, on my team now.
Good to have those guys on your team.
Yeah, so I'm excited to have them on my team. And, there's obviously guys that I know well. And then, like, Sean Harvey, when he was at Murray and I was at Sebastian, I was just like, saw him run down the sideline in front of me and my hair blew. And I was like, holy jeez. And I'm super excited that he's wearing maroon and going to be on our team, all that. But, obviously I'm just kind of getting in the groove. Coach Braddock.
We can't talk about any current 8th graders because that would be a big FHSA no, even if they go to school 2 blocks.
Sure.
Yeah, no names. There's a couple, you know.
Sean's already.
Yeah, Sean's in high school now.
So we're all safe there. We're all covered.
We're all,
Coach Braddock.
Yeah, no violations.
Right.
how dare you get too involved with your feet in middle school? Thank you.
I know, right?
You state of Florida.
Yeah, wonderful.
No,
What about you, Coach Braddock?
Sean's one. Sean's a young kid that last year had a learning curve playing varsity football. And, when you go out on the field and you're playing, first of all, every team in St. Johns County is a quality football program. So there are no easy games in St. Johns County. But then when you take the field and his first experience of high school football was an 8-2 Menendez team. Then we played a state-ranked Palm Coast who had an 8A state finalist on the ropes in the playoffs. Palm Coast is outstanding, and they still are. Then we play Bulls, who, by all accounts, probably should have won the 4A state championship. And then you play Bartram Trail, who was undefeated and ranked second in the state in 8A. So, your exposure, your first exposure to high school football is that gauntlet.
That's big. That's major.
So Sean went through growing pains, and boy, he has matured and done an awesome job. But really, his success this upcoming year is going to be a credit to our rising seniors.
Exactly.
Daquan Stanley right now is probably our most accomplished returning player, and every day in the weight room, he's with Sean because he's taking it personal that I'm going to help Sean Harvey be everything he's capable of being. And Daquan's a senior who's got he's getting scholarship offers and has achieved at a high level. He's a ambassador for our program on our campus because he's a tremendous kid, and it's awesome for a younger kid who's got amazing ability as well to look at a kid ahead of him who's taking an interest in him and taking it personal that he understood.
Yeah. So
that's really cool. Daquan's an awesome young man. Sammy Edwards, returning starting quarterback, had a great junior year. He's doing everything he needs to do to put himself in position to lead our team this fall. I tell you, one young man that is really growing into a leader, even though he missed the majority of last year due to a knee injury, is another quarterback, rising junior Riley Stevens. Great young man, great player. And then, we've got a lot of kids on offense coming back up front that played big minutes last year. Xavion Ferguson, an offensive lineman. Our center, Joe Hires. And right tackle, Jason Jackson. Him and Xavion are sophomores. They'll be juniors next year.
Oh, wow.
Joe's a great player and an awesome young man. So really excited about a lot of these guys. And then on defense, after week one, we only started one senior in our front seven the remainder of the year.
Wow.
So we bring back a lot of kids who played a lot. We've got some young kids up front on the defensive line who have maybe been pushed around a little bit that I think now are ready to hopefully do some of that themselves. But kids like Robert Colliner, Trayshawn Mingo, Ryden Olaris Maida, we call him Beef because that's a lot to say. Jeremiah Broxton, Daryl Myers had a great year last year. It was his first year playing inside linebacker. So a lot of kids back. Ethan Lyles really has a leadership role on our team. Great young man. And then we've got a lot of young talent in the secondary. Sophomores who played a lot this past year. PJ Stevens, Sheridan Jones, Jovian Hamilton. Sophomores who were thrown in and at times thrown in maybe a little bit over their head. But the common denominator is we have so many awesome kids right now.
Yeah.
They are fun to be around. They are working. They want to be football players. You don't have to convince a football player to want to play football.
Yeah.
Football players, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And we got a lot of those kids right now.
That's
which is
great.
fun.
That's awesome. Well, we had a lot of those kids too. When I went to school, I told Coach Lee this. I went to school. I went to the orientation at St. Augustine High School, and Wiles was still the coach at that time, and he gave the speech, and he was telling everybody what it's like to be part of the St. Augustine High School football team. I'm looking around the room. I'm like, these guys are big. These guys are serious. I should probably go to St. Joe. But I wanted to play football so bad, man. I went to where I knew I was going to be able to play football. So I understand that mentality of guys just wanting to play the game. And that's great to not only have guys who want to play the game, but guys who are very, very talented to choose from out there to play the game. Now, before I let you guys go, because this is almost over already. What is you talk about you got a lot of young guys on the team. What is your process for bringing some of those younger guys into the fold in varsity? You said you've thrown some guys in there that may or may not have been completely ready, but they lived up to the challenge. I'm never an opponent of throwing people to the fire. It's how I learn my best lessons. What's kind of your process of bringing those guys? How do you know some of those guys are ready at such a young age?
Sure. Well, and honestly, I mean, we've been in a scenario the last couple of years where we've had some guys on the field that maybe physically weren't quite ready, but you got to have somebody out there,
Yeah.
And we had the last 2 years we've had senior classes of 12 and 13 kids, so that's incredibly small.
Yeah, man.
So we've played a lot of young kids who, again, when you're facing that caliber of opponent, you're going to have some challenging times.
Sure.
And anyways, you hope to reap the benefits on the back end after they get that maturity. The process of that, in a lot of ways, while our freshmen are so important, like every year the freshman class is the most important class to your program because that's your future, and that is where the diversion takes place. And what I mean by that is you might have 50 freshmen come in, but if you still got 30 after year one, that's a good retention. Because a lot of them find out, man, this is high school football. This is a lot.
Yeah.
This is hard. This is it's not a game anymore. Like, this is year round. It's a lot. So that process, I almost don't think of them. You mentioned going to varsity. It's almost like you've truly become a St. Augustine football player after that spring of your freshman year, and you're ready to go into your sophomore year. Because it's such a learning experience that first year.
Sure.
And we learn a lot about those young men. We really are learning more about them now than we did back in the fall of their JV season. Because now you see who's the football player.
Right.
Who's the kid that can't wait to get in the weight room.
Yeah.
Who's the kid that can't wait for spring practice to get here. Not the kid who's looking for reasons to not lift. Not the kid who's like, well, I don't know if I do spring football. No, buddy, that's football. There's no spring football. Like it's like April, whatever that last Monday in April is, that starts our 2020 season. So really that process sorts it out. And like I said, we had a staff meeting earlier today, and our standard is such, and we're gonna uphold that standard for what it takes. Not to be on our team, but like if our standard isn't strong enough to where there is a line.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
You have to do some certain things to meet it. Then what kind of standard is it? Once you adopt a standard, there's going to be some people that choose not to meet it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. I'm still going to see that guy in the hallway and be happy to see him.
Of course.
But, so a lot of this takes care of itself. But the good thing now is that we're in a situation where we've got a lot of older kids who are the standard. They are taking the standard. It's not me barking at all the kids.
Right.
The best teams, that culture is instituted from within, not from above. Yeah. So I am so grateful right now for our upperclassmen and excited to see what they're going to do with our younger kids.
All right. And speaking of excitement, Coach Lee, what are you planning on doing as somebody who's been a player at the high school and now as a coach? What can you do to prepare these young men for moving up to Coach Braddock's team?
Well, I mean, the main thing is kind of what was installed. Obviously, it's a serious culture. Everybody just kind of throws around culture and culture this, culture that. But there really is, like, when you come into St. Augustine and you wearing jackets across your chest and you're wearing maroon, it's like I said earlier, when I coach there, it's going to be like, whoa. I played. It's the same thing when you come in as a freshman. You're playing there. You go to as a little kid. You're out there running around on the side of the field whenever the big guys are playing. Then you're in 7th grade, and they start watching the game. Oh man, 8th grade. Next year, that's going to be me. And so, it's just basically getting them to understand, as far as scheme-wise, just the base fundamental things that we do. And then for me, the big thing, because the only reason I was even worth a crap when I was playing, was just get them accustomed to the weight room, the way we practice, how fast we go, the way things are done, the standard, like Coach Braddock said. And just
awesome. And I'm sorry to cut you off, Coach, but we are in our last few seconds. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This is The Rant.